Right, so I'm going to do these two UFC events, that's UFC 147 and UFC on FX4, the recap video together. UFC 147 first, even though it came second of the two. I just did absolutely dreadfully on it, and that's because I didn't know any of the people on the card, hardly, because most of them were all people from Brazil who had taken part in that tough Brazil thing, which nobody outside of Brazil seems to have really cared about at all. Felipe Arantes and Milton Vieira. I went for Arantes. He was one that I had heard of, and guess what? It was a split draw. Yes, I've never heard of a split draw before. In fact, I'm really sort of against draws altogether. I would rather a close decision be called wrongly than have a draw, just because draws seem to be pointless. But there we are. Get it pointless? Draws on... Anyway, never mind. Carrying on... if anybody cares, Campos didn't win either. I think he was one that I went for, but that was a complete guess. Leonardo Mafra, he didn't win, no. Perpetuo won. I suppose the name should have said it all, Perpetual, but there we are. He won that one. What else? I hadn't heard of any of these at all. Oh yes, I was a bit surprised that Yuri Alcantara lost. Hakran Diaz won. But there we are. That was a decision. A lot of these went on a lot longer than I thought they would. Fabricio Verdum and Mike Russo, that was about the only one that went exactly as I thought it would. Oh, and of course, the main event, I did think that Franklin would win again, and he did, which is brilliant. Unfortunately, I don't think either of my picks for the... Ronnie Mariano won. That was in the featherweight final. But the other one, Sergio Moraes, who I'd gone for, he didn't win. So there we are. And both of those went all the way to decision. So you see, it was a long night for them, and a rather long night for me as well. UFC on FX4, I at least knew a little bit more about. The only one I really want to talk about, however, which kind of annoys me a little bit, is the one with Ross Pearson and Cub Swanson on. Does anybody remember what I said when I spoke about Ross Pearson and Cub Swanson? Did I or did I not say that Ross Pearson really ought to get Cub Swanson to the ground? We saw that he could do that every so often, usually capitalising on Cub Swanson's mistake, in fact, in the second round, for example. But he was too lenient in letting the guy stand up and too willing to trade with him. And I warned, I warned him, didn't I? I told you all that it would be much better for him to keep it on the ground and try to work submissions, or his ground and pound, which was equally as good, rather than stand up. Yeah. Unfortunately, Dustin Paige lost. It was a split decision victory for Ken Stone. Yeah, there we are. Dan Miller got a win over Ricardo Funch, but it was a close call until he got the submission victory. Matt Brown finally managed to get a win, and it was actually a stoppage with Luis Ramos. Steven Seiler won. Now, I said that I thought he would. I said to watch him, and he did really well. Rick Story, I said that he would also win against Brock Jardine, not to be confused with the other one, Keith Jardine, and he did, although it went all the way to decision, and I believe I actually said I was going to give Brock Jardine the benefit of the doubt there. Ramsey Najim, he won as well. What else? Brian Ebersol won. I said I thought it was worth going with Brian Ebersol just because I thought he was the favourite on this one, and it paid off. Oh, Sam Stout managed to win against Spencer Fisher. Well, we all overcome in the end, don't we? The main event between Clay Guida and Gray Maynard is a bit of a bore fest, like I said it would, but for completely different reasons. I was worried that both of them being sort of pretty good wrestlers, it would end up on the ground and we would have another situation like with Pettis where basically nothing happened. No, only Clay Guida can manage to stay on his feet for 5 rounds and do pretty much nothing at all. I mean, yes, he was striking, but he was also pretty much running away every time Maynard tried to strike as well. Now, I don't know who should have won that one. I think in many ways Gray Maynard sort of deserved to win it, just because at least he was putting more effort in. You know, okay, Clay Guida was fast enough to sort of dodge the bullets all the time, but did he really do anything in that fight? No, it was like a stand-up version of his ground game against Pettis. And you know, we've had cases, haven't we, before where people have run away in the cage and it's been slighted on them very, very badly. I mean, wrestlers do get criticised, but nobody gets criticised more than somebody who tries to strike but basically just runs away from a striker. I mean, continually runs away. You know, yes. Who am I going to give my Fighter of the Card awards to? For FX4, I'm giving it to Ricardo Lamas, and that's because I didn't have the faith to pick him, basically. I have supported Ricardo Lamas a lot, and I did say in my prediction videos that nothing would make me more happier than for him to win. But I was really worried about Hatsuhoki, and I went for him in the end. Ricardo Lamas managed to overcome. Despite losing the first round, he managed to win by decision. So I'm going to give him the award for that one. For my my Fighter of the Card award for 147, it can only be Rodrigo Dam, who I had in fact heard of before. In fact, I think he was the only one I'd heard of before who was actually in Tough Brazil. He won his match. The irony was that he was supposed to be the groundsman for this particular fight. The first part of the first round he spent completely outstriking the striker. The second part of the first round it went to the ground, but only because Rodrigo Dam's striking was so good that he managed to sort of get him onto the ground by literally knocking him onto the ground. And I think had he continued with that, he could even have got a TKO victory. But he didn't. He went to his bread and butter of ground fighting and managed to get an RNC. And I think that's quite a big one, because I don't think that his opponent had been finished before or something like that. I don't know. I'm not really familiar with that. That was just something that I think I heard from one of the commentators, but I could be wrong there. But yes, he will get my Fighter of the Card award.